Hi, this is Chuck Taylor with Nerd 3D Graphics. Today I'm going to show you one of the new features in Poser 2012, the animated joint centers. This allows you to move the centers of your rig to match a full body morph or scaling of a figure. I'm going to import a little doodle I did of Andy here that makes him into kind of an alien. And what we're going to do in this process is set up the joints in Andy to match the outline of the new mesh created with the morph. And as you can see, he's kind of ugly. But most importantly, you'll notice that the area around the shoulders and forearms where most of the movement takes place in this morph, they no longer bend right. It looks pretty terrible. And this, of course, is because the mesh has moved quite a distance from where it originally was, and the joint zones aren't right anymore. Now what we're going to cover here is how to set up the new feature so that the joint zones will move automatically into the position of the new figure. Now first we're going to have to convert the figure to use weight mapped joints, and this is because if we didn't use weight mapped joints, what you're seeing here, if you set it up to use just the original joint system, you're going to get awful looking bending. What we're doing is I'm going to give you a little demonstration here of the difference between the original bend setup and the weight maps when you move the joint center. And real quickly here, I'm just going to add a weight map to one channel of this so you can see the difference between that horrible bend we just had and what you get with the weight map and the same exact joint. Now when we bend this with the weight map on it, you can see it bends like it's supposed to. Okay, so the first thing we have to do to Andy is he has to get weight maps on each of the body parts that are going to be moved. That's the forearms, shoulders, and head and neck on this. And the joint editor has a facility to do this. So we're going to open the joint editor, select the forearm, and select the first channel, and click on Add below the zones. And that's going to give you the very bottom option is Merge Zones to Weight Map. And that converts that channel to use weight maps. And then we're going to do that for each of the channels in this body part. And just keep doing it for each channel in each body part. Okay, so we have all the zones set up now, and we can go ahead and begin the real fun of this, which is making the centers match up with the new morph. First thing we're going to do on each body part is check Animate Origins and Display Origin. Do this on each of the body parts that you're going to be working on. Forearm, shoulder, neck, and head in this case. This allows us to see the little green X's for each body part's center. Also, the Animate Origin is what makes all of this work. So now we have our origins displayed, and I like working in outline mode here. I think I can see better using an outline view. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Andy Alien full body morph as the master for all of this. Open up the dependency editor, and if you've never used it before, this is a good place to start with. The Start Teaching button, when you click that, everything that you do is recorded as a dependency of whatever dial you have selected. Now, if we didn't use the dependency editor to set this stuff up, the new centers would not respond to the morph. And I'm going to show you why we're going to use the dependency editor here. If we just dial the change into the new origin channels without setting up dependencies, then the new centers would not match the base figure. Now you see in the shoulder you have the origin channels, which you didn't have before. And as I dial the Y origin in, you can see that center moving up and down. Let me get that on the screen a little better. You can see that center move up and down. I wasn't recording this with the dependency editor, so if I dial that new morph out, you can see the center stays in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's do this the right way. We're going to record the dependency for each one. So you click Start Teaching. Now everything you do is going to become a dependency of the Alien Andy full body morph. I'm going to scroll this down so you can see down here at the bottom of the list. When I dial in the origin, you see it gets added to the bottom of the list. It gets saved down there. Okay, we're going to do this for the rest of the dials on this body part. Each one of them is going to get saved into the dependency editor. Now before you do anything else, make sure you click Stop Teaching because it will become a dependency. Okay, we're going to go back and do the next joint. Start Teaching, next actor, dial that one in. Actually, once you've done this a couple times, it goes really fast. It doesn't take very long to set them all up. Let's go ahead and do the rest of them. You might be tempted here to use the figure symmetry thing to copy the joint centers. Don't do that because it will add a dependency for every single joint rotation in the entire figure to your Alien Andy morph. That makes a real mess. Don't try it. You can see once you've done it a couple times, it doesn't take long to dial each center to where it needs to be. Okay, once you've got them all set up, click Stop. And as you can see now, the centers follow as we dial in and out that Andy Alien morph. And you can see that the joint moves with Andy even when it's posed. He looks pretty good. Well, he doesn't look very good, but he moves as well as Andy did originally. Set that back. Let's go ahead and do the neck and head. I'm going to show you a couple of other tricks here that you can do while you're setting these up. Sometimes you'll need to kind of see what you're doing while the joint is being adjusted, and you'll want to like bend it as it's working. And the trick is to make sure that you click Stop on the dependency editor before you move those joints, or they will be recorded as part of the dependency. Now here I'm moving back and forth between the morph and the unmorphed version to see if the center is still kind of in the same place. It's really not. I'm going to mess with it a little bit more and get it more in the center of where it was before relative to the mesh. That way it will bend in a similar fashion to the original mesh. That's pretty close. That'll work for this. Okay, now we're going to go on and do the head. It's going to be a little more challenging because the center for the head moved quite a distance, and it's actually even oriented a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and move the head after I've picked it off the list here. And right about there is where it was. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop here and see how it bends. And it doesn't really bend very well. So I'm going to leave it bent and click Start Teaching. That way I can see what I'm getting while it's bent. And I'm going to mess with the center a little bit more and see if I can get it to look a little better while it's bent. See, that looks better than it did. Click Stop, and that's the way it's going to be when it morphs in and out. And it bends pretty well. Okay. Okay, we're done with the dependency editor. We can go ahead and close that. And now I'll take a look and see how this little fellow bends and moves with all these changes we've done. He looks pretty good. He bends okay, as well as his original Andy bent, and that's because of the using the weight map channels. When you move the centers around. If you use weight map channels, the weight mapping keeps the bending on the same vertexes as the original model had. If we didn't do the weight mapping, it would bend all wrong. And as you can see, you can morph back and forth between the alien and Andy, and the joint centers move with him. One last step, you may want to get rid of the little green X's, but do not turn off the animate origin. That will break everything that you just did. So remember to leave the animate origin check mark in place, and you can uncheck all the little green arrows with display origin. If you needed to change the centers of any of these, if you weren't happy with them, all you would need to do is reopen the dependency editor, make sure you click start, and make the change to the joint center so it gets recorded. That would replace the original recording for that particular center or channel, whatever you needed to change. I think that pretty much covers converting a figure to use animatable centers, making it follow a morph. Have fun with the new features, and thanks for watching this tutorial.